nobody on this road that can save your soul. Almost lost control now. Tell me what you need in a friend, and now pray that we endure to the end again. I'm just saying that I'm here for you. When the world turn against you, I'ma be with you. Got my sword in my hand, you can count on me. I won't run and hide, fight mightily.
Waiting on O.F.I. See the Jacob, I'm the apple of my father's eye. I learned the truth for who I was and it made me cry. If I don't keep the laws of Yah, then I'm gonna die. Living curses, but I'm edifying in my verses. Prepare the hearses for the heathens who be steady.
Khan. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, glory, and honor to the Most High God, Yahweh. We do so by Shema Mashiach, Wamalak Yabushai. I'm Brother Nehemiah, General Nehemiah of O.F.I, only for Israel. Coming back with a Man of Mondays. Y'all, this Man of Monday is a little bit earlier than usual. And the Most High, in the midst of traveling, put it on my spirit to make sure I didn't drop the ball and hinder the work. Right now, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai, I've had the opportunity to come over to Africa, over to the Middle East. And it's 3:42 a.m. in the morning. And the Most High had, through his spirit and mercy and his power, he had it on my spirit, brother, you got to do the work. You got to do the work. You know, don't make an excuse and say, well, you know, we 9 hours ahead. You know, flight was long, it's 20 hours of travel. Man, you got to do the work. So this won't be a long lesson, but through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, we want to get into it. Don't hinder the work. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh, a study on kingdom labor. All right, a study on kingdom labor. We're gonna start off with the classic Matthew 9. Right, the harvest is plenteous, slanders in the call. So when you go into this account of Matthew 9, you had Yahweh had healed a man, and he had told the man to not go and tell anybody. And it's very, very powerful. It's a very powerful account, because when the brother went and told and spread the word that Yahweh healed him, Yahweh got a lot of pushback. And here it is, our Lord and Savior was doing the work. And you have men, like we brought out in that Jude, who have crept in unaware, a damnable man who've been predestinated since aforetime to be used on the left-hand side, right? Somebody got to be the one who's wrought in wickedness on the earth, right? And it's not always through the spirit of Esau, and it's not always these other nations. A lot of the times, the work is being hindered by our own people. But the Pharisees, they try to hinder Yahweh's ministry through slander, lies, and discrediting him. You know, you'll have people come in and try to discredit you as far as how you're doing the work, and say, well, you know what? You're not doing the work good enough, or you're not doing the work long enough. You know, well, I don't like the way you teach. I don't like this. I don't like that. But they're not doing the work themselves. So you got to understand that the work must go on. So through Matthew chapter 9, the Pharisees continually try to hinder the work of Yahweh. They slandered his name. They spread lies about him, say he wasn't casting out devils, but by Beelzebub, right? The chief devil, which makes no sense. And they questioned his authority. They didn't think he was the son of the Most High. Ain't this Joseph's son, the carpenter? So there's a lot of different type of ways that people will try to hinder and stop the work, but you got to stay 10 toes down in this truth, right? And they called him a blasphemer. They try to discredit him before and in front of the people. You know, and this is a way to spread dissension. This is a way to scatter the sheep, is by discrediting you in front of the congregation. They may try to discredit you in front of, you know, brothers and sisters that's not in the truth. They might try to, and we see this all the time as so-called, with the BHIs and so-called Black Hebrew Israelites, the title that some people in the world put on us. And it's like, look, you're trying to discredit us. You're trying to discredit the work that the Most High God, by Shem Yahushua, is wrought through chosen men and women who he raised up in these end times to do the work, right? And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, all right? Let's get this. So the Pharisees' opposition, how did they try to hinder the work? Slandering. They spread false accusations about Yahushua. Didn't Yahushua say that a student is not above the teacher, it's not above a prophet? Prophet is not respected in his own hometown. They hated you. They hate us because they hated first Yahushua. So don't expect to get a pass in his truth by the world. The scriptures teaching us that he who loves the world is at enmity with God, because you can't love the world and God. Now, nor can you love the things of the world. What does that mean? Does that mean that you can't enjoy the fruits of your labor? Does that mean you can't enjoy going bowling? And it's not on that level. It's like this specifically is going into that. You can't be a partaker in the wicked ways of the world and the status quo of the world and the focus of the world and try to be in his truth and serving Yahweh by Shem Yahushua and righteousness. You can't serve two masters, right? And because you are out here through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua doing the work and trying to increase in righteousness and diligence, that's going to piss some people off. Stop thinking that everybody is going to be your friend and that everybody is going to be excited that you're striving for righteousness by Shem Yahushua. And the world is waxing wickeder. So why would they be excited that you're striving for righteousness? Lies, they twisting his words and actions against him. We go out to teach and people say, all y'all do is yell. Hey, why are y'all so angry? But doesn't the scripture say, surely oppression maketh the wise man angry? Now we know in that context that angry also goes into being mad. Like, it'll drive you crazy. And a gift is sure at the heart. So yes, we are angry at the state of our people. We're angry at the state of our neighborhoods, our communities, the state of our women, the state of the aged men, the young men. That if you don't love your people, those things won't bother you, right? I'm gonna say it again. If you don't love your people, the state and the condition of your people being in a low degree, it's not gonna bother you, right? Spreading disbelief, causing the people to doubt, questioning authority, right? Saying, wait, hold on. How can he forgive sins? He can't forgive sins. That's blasphemy. These are things that they did in order to oppose Yahushua, ultimately opposing Yahweh and trying to hinder the work, calling him a blasphemer and discrediting his ministry, right? Let's get it. Matthew 9 and 35 to 38. And Yahushua went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. And it was no disease that was too strong for Yahushua. There was no sickness that was too sick for Yahushua, right? It was like, well, hey, Yahushua is not like the modern medical world where they say, well, you know what? We can't cure such and such disease. And well, you know what? We don't have a cure for that. We can give you some medication to try to keep you at ease, but we don't have a so-called cure for that. Yahushua didn't have those issues. He was healing every sickness, every disease, every spirit. All right. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them because they fainted. Why did they faint? Because they were tired, right? They were spiritually fainted. He saw that they were spiritually deprived. They weren't uplifted. They thirsted after the truth and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. How were they scattered abroad? Because you had the concision, you had the Pharisees who weren't pushing salvation for the masses of Israelites, the masses of the children of Israel, to be more concise. They were more trying to bind and put heavy burdens on, according to the law, on the children of Israel. And a lot of them were hypocrites. And that was scattering the sheep because it wasn't bringing them closer to salvation through Yahushua, right? He was moved with compassion on them. And this work You gotta be compassionate to do this work. Can't do it in vainglory. Can't do it for only self-fulfilling reasons. Right now, you should have some self-fulfilling reasons in doing the ministry. You should want to make the kingdom. That is self-fulfilling, but it's not only self-fulfilling, right? Um, Reading on, because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Then saith he unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. Now, when you think about this, a lot of parables are on an agricultural level. When you think about agriculture and crops, before you could ever reap the harvest, before it's ever a yield of crop, you first have to put in the work. You got to prepare the land, right? It has to be in the right season. You have to have the knowledge of what crop or what seeds to plant at what time in the year. You have to know how to tend to those crops. You have to know certain parasites and things that would affect and destroy the crops. You have to know certain times of certain crops only need to be watered a certain amount of time. Certain crops are more, they prosper more when they grow in the shade versus when they're in the sun. There's different soil compositions. There's a lot that goes in agriculture. And in order to be able to even, Lord willing, get an increase on the harvest, right? And so when you think about mass commercial farming or mass horticulture or agriculture, it takes work. It takes field hands, and those field hands have to be knowledgeable of, you know, how to work in the field. I mean, plain upon tables, right? You have to be knowledgeable of the crops. If you're using certain type of machinery and things of that nature, and to assist in the farming, right? They have to be knowledgeable on how to use those type of machineries, or even in terms of in the ancient days and still in the modern days, we do use livestock and things. You know, you may have a certain type of donkeys or mules or oxen and so forth and so on. You have to know how to work with these dumb animals as well, right? And so when Yahushua is teaching this, he's saying, look, the children of Israel are like the sand of the seashore. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. The harvest is plenteous. What is the harvest? The children of Israel coming back to righteous work, to serving Yahweh, to having faith in Yahushua, right? This is kingdom talk, right? But in order to get that harvest, it needs to be more work. A lot of work that has to be done. And a lot of times, or oftentimes, the work is hindered because of brothers or sisters might not be in the right spirit. It might not be a priority to them, where the ministry, and I've been guilty of this myself, where the ministry has taken a back seat because of worldly obligations, or because you get sidetracked in trying to just survive in this captivity. And so we got to stay mindful of these things, that the harvest is plenteous, but the workers are few. And even on these Man of Mondays, you know, we are calling out through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shai, and begging to the Most High that He raises up the spirit of more of the children of Israel, however He sees fit to do the work. You know, whether it's doing videos, whether it's just keeping the commandments, being that example and that light, whether it's wearing your fringes, right? Whether it's rebuking wicked spirits, whether it's keeping the Shabbat, whether it's teaching your home, making sure that your household is in order, whether you're in a leadership position as a senior man or a senior woman in the truth or in the body, right? There's so many ways to do the work. Hey, whether it's on an economic standpoint where you are giving alms, right? Or whatever it may be, right? There's so many ways to do the work. But we're crying out to the Most High that in these end days that He will raise up the spirit that we would do more of the work, right? I want to give a quick verse by verse breakdown that I put together. So verse 35, despite the opposition, Yahushua continued to work. He was teaching, preaching, and healing. He didn't stop because of the Pharisees was hating on him. He didn't stop because they were slandering his name. He didn't let that hinder the work, because ultimately he knew his purpose and he knew how important that this work is, right? In verse 36, he had compassion on the multitude who were as sheep having no shepherd, fainted and scattered. The people needed guidance and truth. They needed not to be lied to, deceived, right? Overtaken by deception, right? And insincerity, hatred at the end of the day. What's the word I'm looking for? Self-gratification, because the Pharisees, they were so, not all of them, because you did have some Pharisees that did believe on Yahweh, even like Nicodemus. You can read about that in John, the 3rd chapter, right? But verse 37, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. There's much work to be done, but not enough workers in the field. Are you one of those workers that should be in the field trying to reap and save souls by Shem Yahushua, and you just not doing it? As the Most High put it on your spirit time and time again, and you kind of push it off and say, well, you know what? Maybe tomorrow, or maybe another day, or, I'm not quite ready. I'm not built up in the spirit enough. The harvest is plenteous, but the workers are few. But the excuses are plenteous as well. And there's millions of excuses that one can make up and can really deceive your own mind, because you might think that you have a warranted excuse, that it's valid. But there's no excuse that's valid for not doing the work. And there's so many ways to do the work and so much work that needs to be done that we got to take accountability as a nation, as a camp, as a body, as your household, right? And whether you are, leading a household of 20, or whether it's just you and your household, the work has to be done, right? Whether you're in a congregation of thousands on thousands, or whether you're a small body, the work has to be done, all right? Reading on. I'm going to get this. This is one of my favorite accounts, right, in this first Esdras 7, because what you notice is that in the book of First Esdras, right, you have the other nations. We had just come out of captivity, and we had begun to do the work, and the Most High had raised up the spirit on some of the elders, Esdras, some of the other brothers, to rebuild the house unto the Lord. And that's what we're doing now. We're rebuilding the temple, right? The temple that's not built by hands. We're raising up in the end days the broken walls that have been trodden down, the children of Israel. We're being renewed in the spirit. We're through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, teaching and edifying, so people know, hey, look, it's very important to do the work, right? Verse Esdras chapter 7 and verse 15. For that he had turned the counsel of the king of Assyria towards them, to strengthen their hands in the works of the Lord God of Israel. There's so many ways that the work can be hindered, but being in the right spirit and begging the Most High for favor and his mercy, the Most High will take your enemies, and he'll use your enemies, or use those who oppose you, whether they're of the nation, whether they're of another nation, right? He'll use people who seem to be in opposition of you, and he'll turn the favor. Doesn't it say in the book of Proverbs, paraphrasing, that the king's heart is in the hand of the Most High? We know the heart goes into the mind. And like rivers are running water, whithersoever so the Most High chooses, he's going to turn it, right? He'll make your enemies your footstool. He'll have those. It also says, when a man's ways pleases Yahweh, he will make even his enemies to be at peace with him. So we see this is a demonstrating that the king of Assyria, the Most High, had turned his heart, his mind towards the children of Israel, to provide them with certain provisions, authority, right? To provide them with a permission, All right, even in the midst of captivity and exiting captivity, to do the work and go back to build the house of the Most High, right? So even the counsel of the enemies, the king of Assyria, was turned by Yahweh to actually strengthen the hands of his people in the work. The Most High can take what the enemy meant for harm and use it to strengthen his people. Opposition cannot stop what Yahweh has ordained. This is very important, family. Sometimes we get too caught up on the obstacles, and we focus so much on the obstacles that we're not focusing on the fact that the Most High God, just how he creates obstacles, he also sometimes creates obstacles to see where is your faith going to be at to overcome that obstacle. Are you putting so much power into the obstacle, or are you putting power into recognizing that the Most High God can move that obstacle right out the way? And I think this is very important when we think about the work and not hindering the work, right? Because just how the work, when we think about Yahweh Shai, when we go into the second Esdras 1-30, when he said he wanted to gather so many times, let me just get it. Second Esdras 1-30, I gather you together as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings. But now, what shall I do unto you? I will cast you out from my face. Now, we know this right here isn't the words of Yahweh Shai, but we know Yahweh Shai quoted, which is another cut on how we know, outside of the fact that the Apocrypha was in the original canon, right? I wouldn't say the original canon because it is canon, but it was in the original and early translations, not just the 1611 KJV. But nevertheless, gathering the hens. If you think about, how does a mother gather the hen? I mean, gather her chicks. How does a mother hen gather her chick? The mother hen has to have insight. The mother hen has to have care and love and compassion, because, you know, a hen might even try to chase away a fox from eating the eggs or eating the chicks. So when you think about gathering the chicks, this is a similitude in terms of gathering the sheep, right? And that's doing the work. And there's many ways to gather the sheep, just like there's many ways to hinder the gathering of the sheep and scatter the sheep. All right, so I'm gonna move on. The insight. The Pharisees tried every method to hinder the work, slander, lies, discrediting, spreading disbelief. But Yahweh Shai continued with compassion, because he saw the multitudes of sheep without a shepherd. The harvest is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Don't be a hinderer, y'all. Be a laborer. All right. So once again, just a quick Manna Mondays through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Mashiach, like Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, is edifying to my brothers and sisters, family. Kwam Yashab.